What we're going through right now is nothing short of historical political revolution in the area of reform when it comes to these laws, these prohibition laws. We're on our way. We're on our way. Good things are happening. And you know, we got a long ways to go. We are learning that there's corporate interest now on, getting in on the industry side of this ending of prohibition. And what I, keep stressing is that we have to fight any kind of takeover that kind of like, favors, corporate grow operations over small grow operations. So, whether it's Coca-Cola or Coors beer or Guinness or, MedMen or Dixie elixirs or whatever, no matter who it is, we should never lose the ability to, for an individual to just grow this 6-plant little crop here that you're looking at. This is basically enough weed probably once the harvest comes in to get most people through the year of just smoking flowers. Now, I'm not saying that I'm against big grow operations or corporate players or corporate entities being involved in the marijuana industry. I don't have a problem with that at all. What I have a problem with is when they're involved in the regulatory processes, when they decide to, price people right out of being able to be involved with the production side of medical marijuana, like we've seen in Arkansas and Michigan and other places. Some places had a better system before, like Michigan. Some places didn't have a system at all, like Arkansas, and it just went crazy from there. Yeah, so we'll be talking about what was on the Twitter feed, and there's a lot to talk about. So welcome to the Daily Dope Show. I'm your host, Brando the Weed Commando. This is RetWeeded, and we're just going to go right through it. We have a lot of tweets to read through, so let's get through this. Yeah, I've kind of had like a little hiatus, you might call it. But, I feel like we're still in this kind of limbo period before anything's really going to happen, because all your legislative sessions are pretty much over with. We didn't have anybody legalize marijuana besides Vermont, which happened in 2017, so they haven't really, I don't think they even regulated sales yet. I don't know. Anyway, let's get on with the tweets. So, yeah, I did make a video earlier, and I was gonna attach this video to that video. I still might do that. We'll see. We're going to get started with some Canadian tweet. There's a few things I'll mention at the beginning here about what's going on in Canada. And this one's from Mark Emery. He says, in the new legalization-only government can authorize any and all activities of the Canadian cannabis culture, including our symbols, our past, the sales, cultivation, possession, transportation, the after effects of consumption, where you can smoke, banning edibles, oils, driving, yeah, so it's, like I said, and it's just like a sterilization of the whole culture of cannabis, and you can take that as you may for whatever it is to you, because to me, cannabis culture is there's many different ways you can view it from your perspective. I'm more of a medical marijuana type person. Sure, when I was younger, way younger, I think I was just seeking something to use as a recreational substance. But what I found really fast was that cannabis is not really a recreational substance. Cannabis is one of these substances where it's more like a psychedelic substance, where it opens your mind up and it rewires your brain so that it thinks properly, so that your brain works the way it's supposed to work. You know, like what they do when you're born and you go to school and they take you to, they make you go to church and all this stuff that is to program your brain to think the way they want you to think. You know, now we have these devices where you're plugged into the AI and it's like a constant stream of information and a flow of data stimulating your, you know, various functions of your body. And I guess you can learn, you know, you can pretty much learn that way too. But it's still, you know, not using your brain the way your brain is naturally intended to be used. And as you smoke, you know, cannabis for a while, it takes a couple months to maybe a year of smoking cannabis to where your brain finally is able to, you know, tear down the constructs that you've been indoctrinated into. That's the way I like to put it. You know, like, you can't, and that's why a lot of people don't like smoking weed, because they don't want those constructs to be torn down. They snuggle up with those constructs like it's a security blanket, you know. So when cannabis starts making their brain work the way it's supposed to, that don't feel comfortable to them. And when they start to see the constructs that they've been indoctrinated into melt away, that scares them, and they get a sense of security that has been threatened. All right, I'm going to move along now. Real quick, I'm going to jump to this Canadian stuff real quick and then go back to that last tweet. So here's just some of the things people are noticing about this new legalization rollout in Canada. Can't smoke in my apartment, can't smoke in my car, can't smoke in the park, can't smoke on the street. So where can we smoke once cannabis is legal? We need legal marijuana lounges now. And apparently this is an article about cannabis lounges. And cannabis lounges have been floated and attempted in pretty much all the legal states now in America. Do we have any yet? I don't think we do. They tried it in Vegas. They just can't, you know, what it is you can't get people to agree to it. And then there's other people that think they have a stake in it, like the insurance people that insure buildings. And, you know, and it's like people act like it's some kind of public nuisance to have to smell marijuana burning. And it's just, and then you have this idea, this mythological creation by the police state that we have some kind of thing going on where people smoke weed at an event, like at a 420 event or at like one of these cannabis lounges that don't even exist yet. And then they got to drive home afterwards. You know, forget the fact that this stone driving thing is mythological anyway, and we've had 420s going on since time unending, and there's even events that happen besides 420 events, like the Cannabis Cup, various, that kind of event where it's like a cup, like a competition cup, and people consume cannabis at those places. We've had things like the Hemp Fest and the Hash Bash for, you know, decades, and we just never heard any of these you know, rumors about stone driving or freakouts about, like, I remember last year all these outlets were putting stories out about how they're 420, oh, you better be careful on 420, you're going to get smoked by some stoners driving, spacing out on the road. And we just never see the numbers. We just never hear about any, you know, really big problem with car wrecks coming out of them 420 events. We have the Cannabis Cup right in my town where 5,000 people that don't live in this 5,000 person town show up twice a year, smoke tons of dabs and doobies and whatever, bongs, and then everybody goes home afterwards. No one ever got in a wreck there. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about that. Yeah, the Canada rollout, what I'm seeing is a disaster. It's about to be a really big time disaster. And, you know, we see Mark Emery, he calls it Prohibition 2.0. Well, what do we have here? Now, we've all heard the story about this Dallas cop who, you know, shot her neighbor. Who knows what the details of the story is, but we also heard that the fine people over at Fox News, what happened to this? I thought I pulled this out. Nope. Well, the fine people over at Fox News decided that they were going to go ahead and demonize the victim here, which is unfathomable, really. I don't understand it. But they tried. So Dallas cop blames marijuana in attempt to discredit man killed by so, I don't know if they blame marijuana as much as they just reported that they found marijuana in the guy's house. I don't even know why they would have to search this guy. Like, what's the point of even searching the guy? I guess whenever a cop's involved in a shooting, they have to do a big, thorough investigation. But basically, you know, this marijuana that was found should have never been brought to the public's attention. In fact, the cop that found it should have just looked at it and then set it right back down. Maybe took a note. Oh yeah, this guy, you know, he smokes weed. I'm just sick of it. All right, this kind of like the overarching theme of my show today is that police do not need to be enforcing marijuana. Absolutely not. What's going on with this? Why do we have people with guns enforcing people that are smoking marijuana and acting like they're doing something wrong when they're smoking marijuana? I don't understand this. I mean, I was at a show a few days ago, and like these people are drinking, you know, liquor. People are walking around this party just drinking liquor freely like it's nothing. In front of cops. Cops are standing around too. And it's like, how is that not a big deal? It's not a big deal. It's legal. See how that works? There's no stigma on alcohol, even though it's the most dangerous drug known to man. 80,000 people a year die, and we don't call that a crisis. 400,000 people a year die from cigarettes. We don't call that a crisis. It's just a little absurd, man, the enforcement of marijuana and how it's used again and again and again to demonize the victims of police brutality and police murder. I've done reporting on this channel every time it's happened. We had the Terrence Crutcher situation where the cop tried to say it was PCP, and then what happened? She got rewarded. Now she has some job where she coaches people that have been involved in officer-involved shootings. It's like, come on. Why does this person still have a badge? Why is this person not sitting behind bars for murder? So here we have the big story that was, you know, all the rage all day. Coca-Cola looking to buy in, you know, another beverage company lining up in line to get into the medical marijuana, or I mean the marijuana sector, if you will. And the reason that this is a bigger deal than the beer people is that it's Coca-Cola. I mean, let's face it, they're not in the business of getting you a buzz per se, but they are in the business of, you know, trying to make money, and they've been pretty famously known for buying smaller beverage companies up And it's just pretty absurd what they do. And their business model is just like any other evil corporation, and they probably have slave labor, and it's just like everything about them is disgusting, including their actual products, which are toxic. You know, you could use them to clean your rust off your car. I mean, it's just like this shit should not be safe for human consumption, period. Like, what are we even talking about here? But because they are in talks with, I believe it's Aurora, for, I'm guessing, production of some kind of cannabinoids, and from the articles I've seen, it looks like it's CBD that they're trying to put in their beverage. So they're not trying to get you stoned or give you the munchies or cotton mouth or anything like that. They just want you to, they just want to get their foot in the door, I guess. And just because of that, that gave everybody, you know, a big buzz. And of course, we were talking about on this channel, I did a video about the marijuana alternative harvest ETF, which the symbol is MJ on the New York Stock Exchange. And basically, yeah, that stock got a really nice bump today because of the good news over at Aurora, talking to Coca-Cola about this, you know, who knows, things that make stoners smirk. Willie Nelson, I guess, is for Beto, and that's Willie. He's still alive, by the way. So if you thought marijuana had some long-term effects, you can just go talk to Willie, dude. Go talk to Willie. It'll be a nice conversation. I'm sure he's of sound mind. Last time I heard him talk, he was pretty sound-minded. This guy is old, man. I don't even know how old. So when you see a story like this come across the boards, I don't really see Rick Simpson tweet like incredibly a lot. I don't know if it's because he tweets a lot and they just don't get recognized, or they don't go through the pipeline. I don't get to him as much, but this one kind of jumped out at me, and it's pretty sad what's going on here. So we'll read Rick Simpson's tweet, and I think I pulled this article for a couple more additives. With so much research appearing almost daily about the medical properties of cannabis, it's truly appalling and outrageous to hear that a man could be sentenced to death in Malaysia for making cannabis oil and giving it freely to patients in need. That's another one of the themes of today's show is, my God, do we have a lot of research for cannabis? And, you know, FDA, who cares what you're talking about? You know, you're talking about taking it, just extracting compound by compound out and seeing if you can make something work out of like one compound at a time. That's not what we're talking about, man. We're talking about the entourage effect. We're talking about the whole plant. We're talking about all the cannabinoids and the terps and everything else. We're talking about nature. We're not even talking about medicine like what you're talking about. You're talking about this made in a lab, stamped out into individual doses and sold by the dose. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about holistic healing with plant-based medicine. And I know you don't like to hear all that because you guys are regulators. Regulators don't like those things. They like nice, simple doses that they can look at and be like, this is 20 milligrams and we should charge $1 for it. We don't like you, FDA. We don't like your you know, with the FDA, we got pink slime. That's food. Alex Jones's crazy InfoWars, caveman, whatever the fuck that shit is. According to the FDA, that's a supplement, not CBD. CBD is not a supplement. CBD is a Schedule 1 narcotic. A supplement is Alex Jones's bone broth bullshit. That's a supplement, according to the FDA. According to the FDA, if you're 11 years old, medical marijuana, you can't use. You can't go near it. It's not medicine. It's highly addictive. And I don't know, you know, whatever else they want to say about it. But if you're 11 years old, OxyContin is totally legit. You can get a script for that all day long. That's the FDA. That's who we're talking about here. The Food and Drug Administration. They say kratom, they say that's killing people. They say that killed 44 or more people. I don't know what their actual count is up to now. Bizarre way that they tabulate deaths from kratom is about the same way that, you know, you get a number like 70,000 people died from overdoses. Is that really the amount of people, or is that the amount of overdoses? And are you using one overdose multiple times because you count one for, you know, like we don't like the way the numbers are working with any of this. We don't like the FDA. And when I say we, I'm talking about people in the medical marijuana community that know about the healing properties of the cannabinoids in the plant. And we're going to see stuff in this clip I'm going to go over. There's just maybe one little quick tweet, but basically how, you know, plant-based entourage where you have the whole package, that works. But when you take the CBD only out and use that and make that the medicine, it doesn't work as good, you know. So it's just crazy. And here's this. Malaysian court sentences man to death for distributing free cannabis oil. Malaysia remains potentially dangerous place to engage in anything related to medical marijuana, and that includes distributing it free of charge to patients who can benefit from it. Just last week, a man was sentenced to death for giving medical-grade cannabis oils to patients in need. On October 30th, a judge in Malaysia sentenced Muhammad Lukman bin Muhammad to death. The sentence came after the judge found Lukman guilty of breaking the country's notoriously strict anti-cannabis laws. According to the local news sources in Malaysia, Lukman was arrested when authorities discovered just over 3 liters of cannabis oil. In addition, he was found in possession of 279 grams of compressed cannabis. All of this occurred in December of 2015. Now, nearly 3 years after being arrested, Lukman received his sentence. Specifically, he is found guilty of breaking Malaysia's Dangerous Drugs Act of 1952. The law states that no person shall, on his own behalf or the behalf of another person, traffic in a dangerous drug. Furthermore, the law stipulates any person guilty of an offense against this act shall be punished on the conviction with death. Given that cannabis remains an illegal substance in Malaysia, the judge ruled that this law applied to Lukman's case. Lukman is now being held in Kajang prison. At this time, sources indicate that he plans to appeal the decision in the country's Court of Appeal. Throughout Lukman's case, his defense argued that his acts did not constitute drug trafficking. In particular, they found that the fact that he was not distributing recreational drugs. Instead, defense lawyers argued Lukman was distributing medicine to patients who might not otherwise be able to get it. Further, the defense pointed out that Lukman was not making a profit. Lukman was in fact working in cooperation with an organization that educates the public on issues related to medical marijuana. Lukman was not profiting from his distribution either, since patients who could not afford the product were given it to for free. In addition to all this, Lukman and his defense team pointed to the growing body of scientific evidence supporting the medical use of cannabis. Despite all this, the prosecutors maintain that Lukman still broke the country's laws prohibiting all forms of marijuana. They also claim that although marijuana is increasingly accepted throughout the world, there is nothing in Malaysian law that allows for medical use of cannabis. Wow. So one of the worst anti-cannabis countries. Malaysia has long had some of the world's most heavy-handed anti-cannabis laws. Most obviously, this reputation comes from the fact that a person can still be sentenced to death for breaking certain drug laws. But Malaysia isn't the only country where a person can be sentenced to death for possessing, distributing, or consuming cannabis. In fact, there's still a surprisingly large number of countries throughout the world with these types of laws in their books. Along with Malaysia, this list includes countries like China, Egypt, Singapore, Myanmar, Philippines, Nigeria, and several others. So, yeah, man, just always remember that no matter how shitty your laws are, there's always the worst. Nick Lindsay over there at High Times. Keep them coming, guys. And we do have a petition here, which I already signed. And their goal was 50,000. They have 44,000 signatures to free Muhammad Lukman. And as you can see here, he seems to be happy about being a martyr. I don't know if I'm characterizing this as such as being right, but from what I understand, basically, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got for now on this, but I'm going to leave this link here in the description so that you can check that out and maybe sign that petition and help this guy's cause of getting the appeal. So here's another, back to Canada. This time we have Jody Emery talking about it. Remember all those decades of activist campaigning, often while being arrested, saying legalize it? Legalize it. Legalize what? That cannabis and culture and industry of all those decades before is not being legalized. Legalization for whom? Not for the current cannabis consumers, growers, or culture. And the Canadian Civil Liberties Association knows it. In a nutshell, it legalizes the industry, but not the practice or the culture. And yeah, so you know, it probably, when they go to search your house in Canada to see if you have under the legally allowed amount of buds laying around or whatever, medical marijuana, whatever they want to classify it as, and they see all these weird looking commercial products like Coca-Cola with CBD in it and some kind of Coors beer, weed infused beer, that's not going to apply to that limit. They're not going to care about that. All they care about is people selling little bags of weed, because they're going to crack down on that. This is pretty interesting. I thought this was very, very interesting. I figured I'd share it with you. As a federal prosecutor, Grissom said, I soon became a true believer that enforcement of cannabis law was immoral. So what? This is the U.S. attorneys infamously, even under Obama for the most part, even the liberally picked by the Democrats in power when they were in power, even those U.S. attorneys are notoriously anti-marijuana and have been forever. No exceptions. No, hey, I remember that one U.S. attorney. He was kind of an activist that whenever he had marijuana cases, he just let people go. And no, there's nothing like that. They were all, buy the book and throw the book at you until it knocked you into a prison cell for, we're talking federal prison. The lowest they give you is 5 years for a drug charge. Come on, man. We're talking basketball score sentences for weed crimes. And that's what these guys do. So, if, for one of these guys out of the hundreds that we've had over the decades that this prohibition has been going on, for even one to come forward and be like, hey, man, whoa, this shit was just immoral, It actually does surprise me, because I look at these guys as just the biggest hardcore assholes on the planet when it comes to the marijuana prohibition, enforcement, and prosecution of people who I call activists. If you were caught smuggling marijuana, selling bags of marijuana, growing marijuana, anytime during prohibition, you're an activist, not a criminal. You're an activist, because the laws were unjust, and you were just doing your civil disobedient part to change these laws. All right, because there's no way the laws would have ever changed without people like us doing what we did to make sure that, you know, it kept being done, for one. And for two, you know, the sheer numbers of people doing it kind of is what civil disobedience is all about. They can't bust us all. Sure, they're going to bust people here and make examples out of people. But, you know, they're activists. All these people that these people feel like it was immoral to put them in prison for those basketball score sentences, it was immoral. And you know, I don't believe in hell, but even though I don't believe in hell, there is a hell that's going to be invented just for you when you die. I'm pretty sure. So as Missourians prepare to vote, and, you know, he was an attorney in Missouri. Like, come on. A U.S. federal attorney in Missouri. He's seen people go to prison for possession of less than a gram. So, and he's seen people get life sentences for marijuana. We've heard stories out of Missouri. We've seen, and when you talk about those activists, what we call those are freedom fighters. You know, those people are literally the people that made the ultimate sacrifice for a plant against a law that is unjust, that has been thrust upon us for over 80 years. I can't say enough about how unjust this has been and how immoral any marijuana enforcement by police officers with badges and guns. It's total fucking hypocrisy that this country calls itself a free nation, and the people that are always out there chanting about liberty, we love our liberty. Those same people that are the people complaining about, you know, the kneeling of the flag because of the police brutality in this country. That's what the fucking kneeling for the flag is about, guys. If you think it's some kind of anti, you know, police or anti-troop, you know, non-patriotic thing, then you're the dumbass that don't even know what a patriot is. You're the dumbass that don't even understand what the troops are fighting for your freedom for. They're fighting for the freedom to do that protest. And yeah, the NFL is a private corporation. So is all those fucking platforms that just fired Alex Jones. I don't see you complaining about them being private corporations. It doesn't matter. Freedom of speech is a fucking it's something that you have as a value. Not, oh, you only do freedom of speech on Tuesdays and Thursdays in special little zones dedicated just for that. No, that's not how it fucking works. It isn't speech if no one hears it. So I'm just jumping around to all kinds of shit because when I start talking about the unjust, immoral bullshit that is prohibition, I start fucking going deep. Because I've suffered. I've seen people suffer. I've lived a life of basically like, you know, a shell game, constantly looking over my shoulder, always wondering when that door is going to get kicked off the fucking hinges, because that's what it is. That's what it's like living under prohibition, trying to grow a few plants, trying to have, you know, have a little liberty and freedom. So, a former U.S. attorney for Kansas, Barry Grissom, said Saturday that the federal classification of marijuana as a Schedule I controlled substance, along with heroin, is absurd. And he said advocates of marijuana legalization were patriots because they are standing up for individual liberty. Thank you. As a federal prosecutor, Grissom said, quote, I soon became a true believer that enforcement of cannabis laws was immoral. Grissom was a keynote speaker at the conference in Kansas City of the Missouri Cannabis Industries Association. Association Chairman Dan Vietz called Grissom one of the most outspoken, articulate, and effective advocates for marijuana legalization. Missouri voters will decide 3 ballot measures to legalize medical marijuana. 2 would amend the Missouri Constitution, and a 3rd would legalize cannabis by state statute. Sorry. Now, I haven't really talked a whole lot about these proposals on this channel. Recently, there was a lawsuit I believe it was by this guy here, the third one, to try to take out these two. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure that if that's not the case, I know for a fact that New Approach Missouri was one of the targeted by the lawsuit to get it removed. I also believed, after reading through all three of these, that the best one was New Approach Missouri. And I don't call it the best one because it's good. I call it the best one because it's the least bullshitty one, if that sounds right to you. And I'm going to go ahead and really quickly go through these. The New Approach Missouri would allow doctors to prescribe cannabis for 10 specific medical issues, including epilepsy, cancer, chronic pain, and PTSD. Now, those are big deals, too, because those are ones that are in contention in a lot of states. And, you know, we just seen Colorado. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's not even in here. I don't know if autism was on their list or not. I'm sure they would have mentioned it here, though, if it was. So, but PTSD and obviously chronic pain are huge to the pharmaceutical industry for a medical marijuana program to allow medical marijuana. Anyway, the measure would tax medical marijuana sales and direct the revenue towards health for veterans through the Missouri Veterans Commission. I think there is things in there about growing, but it's not very cool. Second constitutional amendment is promoted by Springfield, Missouri lawyer and physician Brad Bradshaw. It would create a state research institute that can determine what medical conditions could be treated with marijuana. It would also direct some tax revenue for veterans' health care. Okay, that one's bullshit. It doesn't do anything. And then the third ballot measure is called the Missourians for Patient Care Act. Its proponents say it would be easier to set up... Okay, and back to the second one. Remember, this is a constitutional amendment. So if this passes, the second one, then you couldn't get a medical marijuana off the ground ever, because you first have to get a research institute that can determine what it could even be used for. I mean, it's like that's set up to kill medical marijuana forever. The third one, called the Missourians for Patient Care Act, his proponents say it would be easier to set up the regulatory framework for medical marijuana under a statute that can be amended than it would for a constitutional amendment that could only be changed by another vote by the people. Sure, but I think with the new approach, they leave the door open for legislators to set up the regulation packages. I mean, obviously, come on. So I think, again, this third one is just another agitator that's trying to effectively kill the first one by bad-mouthing it and trying to make their amendment look a little bit better. So if you want my advice and you live in Missouri and you like my show and you like where I'm coming from, I would vote for this one if I was going to vote for any of them. But I would also try to support the efforts to end prohibition in Missouri, because that's there too. I was there and I met the guy that was in charge of that. He was helping circulate New Approach Missouri ballots. He wasn't pushing it. He was just helping them do it so he could get his word out there. So a little bit more about this Grissom guy. The former prosecutor also noted that cannabis legalization is not a partisan issue, pointing out that Hillary Clinton lost the electoral vote in North Dakota, Arkansas, and Florida, 3 states that approved medical marijuana on that same ballot. I've been screaming that this isn't a partisan issue for a long time, because guess what? Nobody wants to it's like fucking hot potato. Democrats won't grab it. And if you think, the Democrats should grab it because of liberalism, right? They're for liberty. That's what the Democrats claim to be, the liberals. Libertarians also claim to be liberals, but they're on the right. But if you're talking about, partisanship, Republicans definitely don't want to touch the legalization issue, and they're still, for the most part, on the prohibition side of it. That's why we still fucking have prohibition. All right? It's not Democrats that are for prohibition. They're just not for legalization, and they're for heavy regulation, heavy taxation. We know all this. Grissom said that even before he stepped down as U.S. Attorney General, he paid a surprise visit to the Washington office of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and said, "I'm here to help." Now, let's run that sentence back. Remember, it says before he even stepped down as U.S. Attorney. So that's a pretty brazen thing for a U.S. Attorney to do. Now in private practice, Grissom told his audience at the Crown Plaza Hotel that he does not use cannabis, but he said he believes it is bad public policy to use resources to prosecute and incarcerate people who do. Well, I hope you use your lawyer connections and abilities to help people that get snagged up by these archaic laws and help them out. Grissom said legalizing marijuana creates jobs and money that does not go into cartels or other bad actors. But he said existing banking laws and regulations remain a challenge to those who would become entrepreneurs in the legal marijuana environment. I think I see another person that is kind of, positioning themselves for future gains in the sector. But whatever the case may be, to see a former U.S. Attorney General, or attorney rather, come out against prohibition is it's a pretty good thing to see, man. I'm just going to say that. What do we have here? Vermont's drug recognition experts are met with skepticism. I actually tweeted, "Yeah, we don't need police inventing ways to say you are impaired. You only drive impaired if you are actually impaired. Maybe give the police a dictionary instead." And a couple quick points out of here. So one of the contention points of these drug recognition experts is that the 12-step process used by DREs starts by ruling in or out the presence of alcohol through a standard breath test. Now, this is funny because they keep saying that, we need to know because alcohol, we got to know if you had been impaired by some sort of substance. And then right here it says, but have little to no alcohol in their system. Now, I would have to say that no, you're just trying to say that you don't have enough alcohol to burn the alcohol test, so we're going to try to get you with multiple substances. And again, like I said, if you're not driving all fucked up, then why do we even got to go to this 12-step process? I know what it is. This is just in case the cops pull you over for something, and not because you were swerving or you driving all erratic, or that just they pulled you over for something, like maybe you were going 5 over, or you forgot to use your blinker back there or some shit, or you didn't come to a complete stop, whatever they want to say, the tail light out, and then they smell weed. Oh, now they're going to do this 12-step process, and then they can just basically say you were stoned. All right? That's how it fucking works, guys. And then you have to go fight it in court. Okay, so after they determine that you have or don't have alcohol in your system, in my opinion, it's like, okay, the alcohol's there. Boom, there you go. Here's your ticket for driving while impaired. Unless it's over the limit, then here's your drunk driving ticket. End of the goddamn situation. And if you don't like me throwing the alcohol under the bus on the driving, too bad. Alcohol and driving don't fucking mix. You don't believe me? Look at the statistics. You don't believe me? Try walking after you drink about 4 beers. See if it's the same. Don't believe me? Play a fucking video game. Alright? Go drink your 6-pack while you're playing a driving video game. And watch how shitty you end up driving after like 3 beers. So anyway, after that, they shift to a series of examinations, which include eye tests and vital sign checks, which both can be, just being nervous because the police is doing all this shit can make people fail these tests. We all know this. What are you supposed to be, like a perfectly calm person when the cops are on the side of the highway fucking with you? Anyway, the DRE officer interviews the suspect about his or her drug use and ultimately issues an analysis and opinion on whether the person is impaired and by what substance or substances. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit and hearsay. So whatever. Several defense attorneys this week questioned the reliability of that test, saying it lacks scientific validation through peer reviews and other studies. Quote, this DRE stuff has not been proven to be reliable by the science process that is accepted in every other important avenue, Norwich-based Attorney George Ulster said. Other attorneys agree. Quote, what they have done is try to create experts with this veneer of science that in essence do what we wanted to move away from 40 years ago, said St. Johnsbury-based attorney David Slay, who recalled a day when prosecutors called doctors to opine on whether someone was driving under the influence of alcohol. That evolved into preference of reality objective scientific testing. And it's like the this kratom thing. The FDA doesn't have any science. They just like, oh, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and just say that kratom is an opioid and that kratom, can kill you. They don't have like any science to say that. They're just saying it. Just like these guys are saying that you're impaired on the side of the road when you're a little bit nervous because they're in your face. Terpenes and the entourage effect. How terpenes work with cannabinoids to produce the cannabis plant's most desired effects. And I guess there's no link to an article here. So you're just supposed to love it and know it and understand it. But if you don't, go ahead and I encourage you to look up the entourage effect. It almost is never talked about unless you're talking about cannabis. So you'll find that. Coral Reefer chimed in about this Coca-Cola thing. I thought this was interesting. Coca-Cola bought a local delicious fruit smoothie and juice company years ago. Took time, but eventually changed nearly all the recipes to watered down garbage. Cut rewards for employees, moved jobs out of Santa Cruz. And yeah, that's what they do. That's what Coca-Cola does. We boycott Nestle over here in Flint, and Nestle's the same kind of thing. Like they go devour up all the companies that are smaller that they see as competition or that they don't want in the marketplace. They just buy them and make them fail or whatever. Other companies do that with non-organic. They take an organic company over and basically turn it into a GMO company. This is a nice article here. I figured I'd pull it and read it. And this is the kind of thing I wish was happening in Michigan. Michigan, as far as I know, doesn't even have a functioning growers association. If it does, someone please tell me about it, because I've seen some of the things going on, and I'm not very fucking impressed. All right, like that forum for the MMA. I'm not down. I don't know. There's like a certain clique of people that I just don't click with, I guess, or they don't like me, or I don't know. It doesn't make sense why we can't all just get along and maybe form an alliance, and a lot of it is there's a lot of greed still in the, like I was talking about the activists, the people that did this shit before prohibition or before legalization began to unfold. Well, among the activist community, there's some righteous players, and there's some people that are basically just in it for the money, and they're in it for fame and fortune and whatever. But it's like they went on a ride the first time, and they're like, I want a bigger ride, I don't know. It just seems like I don't really have a seat at the table, even if I wanted to, and I don't really want to. But I would like people to realize that you're either going to be that multi-facility license holder that is doing a lot of the market share, or you're not. And none of the caregivers that were here before doing the caregiving and going the legal route are going to be getting these licenses to grow in the medical marijuana. And maybe not even the recreational. If the licensing scheme is going to be pretty much the same as it is with the medical, I don't see why anybody would, or how anybody can. If you're a caregiver in Michigan, you were never allowed to make any money on pay above board. So how do they handle this shit in California? Is they have this thing called the California Growers Association, and it's kind of a collective that represents growers and helps growers, but it didn't really bring the growers to market in the same way that maybe this new thing is going to do. So the longtime head of California Cannabis Growers Group steps down to head a new marijuana venture, by John Schroyer over at Marijuana Business Daily. Josiah Allen has been a staple of marijuana lobbying in Sacramento, California for more than 4 years as head of the Emerald Growers Association and then the renamed California Growers Association. But now he's moving on to spearhead a new holding company to promote cannabis cultivation cooperatives. Allen announced his resignation as executive director of CGA on Thursday during one of the organization's board meetings. Quote, I announced effectively immediately that I'm no longer a paid staff member of CGA as of this morning, he told Marijuana Business Daily. I will continue serving as a volunteer in a volunteer managing directory role from now until the end of the year. He began as executive director of CGA, one of the state's most prominent cannabis voices, in March 2014, and will likely continue as a board member in 2019. Allen was even nominated for the CGA board Thursday. Allen said he recommended the CGA board, quote, not hire a replacement for his position, take more of a leadership role in activism going forward, hire additional staff. What's next for him? Quote, I've been recently named as a chair of the Emerald Grow Board. Emerald Grow is a mutual benefit corporation, Allen said. The members of that corporation are cannabis cooperative associations. We are developing right now a holding company, Cooperative California, that will seek to put cooperative economics first and foremost in cannabis. Allen said he has big goals, including making cannabis or cultivation cooperatives into Golden State marijuana powerhouse that command 30% of the cannabis flower market by 2023. And he says he already knows 600 cultivators in Northern California who are interested and eligible. So there you have it. Take all the small people, put them together, and you have something that can compete with the big, giant corporations. Can we do that here, guys, in Michigan? Would that be possible? Marijuana bill approved by congressional committee, despite drug conviction restriction dispute. This is Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment. Actually, this is in Forbes, where he also writes on the marijuana staff. A powerful U.S. House panel that oversees federal drug enforcement efforts approved a bill on Thursday to require the Department of Justice and Attorney General Jeff Sessions to begin issuing more licenses to grow marijuana for research. Now, if you remember, Sessions called for more cannabis to be grown for research, but he never issued the licenses for people to get up and running. And there's people that have applications in the pipeline that are pretty pissed off about all this. And the reason that we know about all this is because they were like, hey, this is bullshit. Look at this weed we get to test with. And it looked like basically oregano. So prior to the vote, a bitter dispute broke out over the provision of the legislation that prevents anyone with, quote, conviction for a felony or drug-related misdemeanor from being affiliated with cannabis research cultivation operations, And as you might have guessed, I think that's pretty much bullshit. What in the actual F? I mean, come on. We're trying to reform the marijuana laws. We're trying to get to the bottom of the research to see whether all these claims that people are making are legitimate or not, which we don't really need the research, to be honest, but the feds need the research. The feds like the research done in their double-blind placebo method with their, rigged out doctors. That's how they like to do it. So we have to do it their way, I guess. And in order for us to do it their way, they have to issue licenses to people to do it, to do the research, and they have to grow the weed for them to do the research on. It's absurd that they would try to ban. And this is just like another one of these right-wing Republican Christian, we're doing this because our feelings are hurt kind of fucking compromise points. We're sick of it. We're sick of that shit too. I've been saying we a lot in my video today. And when I say that, I'm talking about we, the people. All right? We know what's going on. This slow takeover, and they're carefully orchestrating it, is trying to put this in the hands of Big Pharma. And I used to be kind of a slight admirer of the Matt Gaetz guy, or Getz, or whatever the fuck his name is, the dude from Florida that basically put this together. Well, he's kind of a dick. And furthermore, he don't outright say it, but I'm pretty sure he's a Schedule II type person. Like, he's not talking about research in marijuana, the kind that you pack in a bowl and put a flame on it. He's talking about the compounds in the thing, so his buddies can make little pills out of each compound or something. I don't know what they're planning, what kind of Frankenstein shit they have in mind, but that's what I think. That's what I'm starting to get the impression of. So anyway, quote, "There is no legitimate health or public safety justification for the inclusion of this language, and we urge you to strike this unnecessary punitive ban on individuals with previous drug law violations," reads a letter sent to the committee's leaders on Wednesday by the ACLU, Human Rights Watch, hashtag Cut50, the Drug Policy Alliance, and other groups. Quote, "To help lower recidivism rates and improve public safety, we should be making it easier for people with records to obtain jobs, not more difficult." Legalization supporters scrambled this week to build support to amend the bill accordingly, but House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, Republican for Virginia, who has long opposed marijuana reform but is a co-sponsor of the research legislation, refused to go along with the compromise that would have stripped the restrictions on people with drug misdemeanors while maintaining the ban on those with felony convictions, Capitol Hill staffers and advocates said. So they even tried to compromise the fucking compromise by cutting the misdemeanor-only people out. And, of course, Bob Goodlatte, I can't remember why, but for some reason I remember him from another story. So here's some asshole prohibitionist somehow on the fucking board that's going to talk about this, somehow a co-sponsor of it. I'm very suspicious of this bill already, but I'm starting to get really suspicious. As a result, some drug policy reformers who otherwise strongly support expanding medical research balked on the bill, urging lawmakers to vote no. So not only are the right-wingers a bunch of hypocrites when it comes to this policy, but they're also a bunch of snowflakes that act like a bunch of little kids acting out when they don't get their fucking way. And this is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. No reason for this restriction. The legislation introduced, quote, "unfortunately and unjustly expands the collateral consequences of criminal convictions," Rep. Gerald Nadler, Democrat from New York, the top Democrat on the panel, said at the start of an hour-long debate before the vote. Citing the racially disproportionate manner in which drug laws have been enforced, he said the restrictions in the bill would, quote, "compound this injustice by preventing the very people who have been harmed from participating in research." And, you know, the biggest, most obvious thing that no one's actually saying, but I'll say it, is why would you want to restrict the people that have the most passion for doing this? Remember, the people that got arrested during Prohibition aren't criminals and pieces of shit. They're fucking activists and freedom fighters. They made the ultimate sacrifice so you didn't have to. They made the ultimate sacrifice when they did so that now it's legal and you don't have to worry about getting thrown in jail. Let them do the research. Good Latte argued that it is, quote, wholly appropriate that we set a firm standard for those who are supposed to be growing and manufacturing research-grade marijuana. And here it is again, the fucking stigma. Oh, we don't need a bunch of Scooby-Doo fucking Shaggy motherfuckers in there, you know, in Dexter's lab cooking up some fucking brownies for their fucking movie night and pizza night. I'm so fucking goddamn sick of this stigma. It's just absurd. All right. Do I sound like a fucking stupid stoner? I don't think so. I fucking carried a 4.0 all the way through college. Do I look like some goofy fucking asshole that, you know, and I've never had a weed conviction in my life. I'm the guy that didn't get caught. That's why I'm not famous, because I always maintained a low profile and low key. But here we have Bob Goodlatte talking about how people like me, you know, we shouldn't be doing research. And I mean, come on, what are you really talking about here? People that do research, dipshit, are usually people in white lab coats who are in a university setting. And, you know, I mean, this is so stupid. It's like you're not even really talking about what's really going on in reality. You're saying that you want to make some standards. Like, hey, we're going to do this hypothetically, and then in practice it'll be like, yeah, only these really nerdy people that never even smoked weed, they're the ones that's going to research the shit, not you dipshit stoners over there. Wipe the pizza grease off your face. This is just ridiculous, guys. Hey, Bob. Hey, Good Latte, you're a dipshit. You don't fucking tell me who should research my medicine, or whether or not, you know, a marijuana conviction in their fucking past should bar them from this. During the committee markup, Rep. Steve Cohen, Democrat from Tennessee, offered an amendment to remove the words drug-related misdemeanor from the provision in question, but ultimately withdrew the proposal instead of forcing a vote after Good Latte made a commitment to work to reverse the restriction before the bill goes to the House floor. And here's another case of Democrats caving in and trusting Republicans. How'd that go for you last time? Oh, I don't know. You could ask Chuck Schumer how that went for the dream. Just ask the Dreamers how that went. Remember when Chuck Schumer caved to fucking Trump and Mitch McConnell? He said he would help Trump build his wall if we'd please talk about the Dreamers and let's cut the Dreamers a deal to make them so they don't have to worry about getting deported and shit. And Mitch McConnell was like, you know, yeah, we'll do that later on down the line, but let's do this first. And, of course, that was a big fuck over. It never happened. And that's what this is going to be. Good Latte's just full of shit. They're never going to fucking go back and hammer this back out and get rid of that misdemeanor shit. Because he don't want to. They hate anybody that had anything to do with marijuana before because they want all their rich buddies like John Boehner and his little fucking, you know, the rich boys club. They're the ones that's trying to take it over, guys. We're seeing nonstop prohibition after prohibitionist line up to get in on the industry. If you haven't noticed that, maybe you should pay more attention because that's what's going on. The overall bill, the Medical Cannabis Research Act, sponsored by Rep. Matt Gaetz, Florida, Republican, was then approved by a voice vote. Quote, while there are many varying opinions on the issue of marijuana, one thing we can all agree is that we need qualified researchers to study the science and determine if there are any potential medicinal benefits to chemicals derived from cannabis, Good Latte said in a statement. That is Schedule 2 talk right there. That's Schedule 2 language. Everything about that was Schedule 2 language. We can all agree that qualified researchers to study, yeah, okay, but what you're doing is this bars people from even working in that research. Sure, the actual guy doing the putting his name, you know, professor, doctor, whatever. Of course, we know that they're going to be qualified to be who they are and do what they're doing. Matt Gaetz has the same kind of bullshitty. We must ensure that an adequate and uninterrupted supply of research-grade cannabis is available to safe harbor provisions for research facilities. I am proud to lead the efforts to unlock cures through important scientific research. Earlier this week, Gaetz tweeted that quote from that both sides make fair points about the drug conviction language, but the issue, quote, isn't important to him. Oh, really? That's funny. Yeah, it isn't important to you. We know why, because none of those people that you have in line to do this Schedule 2 shit you're talking about has a drug conviction or even ever used marijuana. Quote, what a shame if a disagreement on such a small thing kept us from making university, hospital, hospice, VA, med school, medical marijuana research collaboration legal with the vibrant, innovative commercial cannabis industry, he wrote. Yeah, dude, all those people could still do this research. And you could still not ban people from being involved in the research just based on whether they got convicted from a fucking drug charge in the past. I just think you guys are just some non-empathy having fucking right-wing dicks. That's what I think. During the committee hearing on Thursday, I mean, it's what it is. This is all compromise type shit. And you guys are acting, the right-wing authoritarian assholes are acting like they have the upper hand in this argument. Oh, you little potheads want to do your research. Ha ha ha. That's not even what it's about, man. It's just about not being, you know, it's about being inclusive, for one. Because you might have somebody that had a misdemeanor marijuana charge, but they still went through, you know, all the hoops. They went to college. They learned, they got their degree. Now they're doing research, scientific research or medical research. But when it comes to this is off the table for them because of your stupid little rule. Only thing like that there is. Now, they could probably go over to Purdue Pharma and do research on deadly opioids all day long because there's no fucking stipulation in there about that, is there? So you're basically, it's almost like you're targeting individual people that you know that you don't want in this research. During the committee hearing on Thursday, Gaetz said that the restrictions wasn't included in the initial drafts of the bill, and its addition was suggested by people in the marijuana industry who, quote, wanted to raise the bar and not have, quote, people who wandered out of their drug circle or hacky sack endeavor leading cannabis research. More of that there it is, guys. It's just fucking stigma. And, you know, that's bullshit, Gaetz. That you say somebody stuck it in there. You know how it got in there. And it wasn't people from the marijuana industry. And if it was John Boehner type people. Oh, was it from Green Acres Holdings? Is that the marijuana industry people you're talking about? Morgan Fox, communications director for the National Cannabis Industry Association, said in a text message that his organization, quote, absolutely did not suggest that and does not support that restriction. Nobody does, except for right-wingers who drag him kicking and screaming through this legalization thing are only going to be doing it if only their friends can be the ones doing it with them. While the number of judiciary Committee Democrats spoke up to say that they could not support the legislation as written. Rep. Ted Lieu, Democrat from California, said that he's willing to vote to advance it in hopes of it being amended later. Just go ahead and trust the Republicans and sign their garbage and let them basically give their friends the upper hand on this corporate takeover of the research. And you know they want to do it in Schedule 2 fashion. There's probably people with their applications in right now to do some research that have one of those misdemeanor convictions in the past. Or even a felony conviction that's probably a fucking trumped up charge. Legalization advocates mindful of growing political momentum for marijuana policy reform said that they have moved past the time when they were willing to make major concessions in order to move incremental legislation. Really? We shouldn't have to, bottom line. So, quote, while the bill's consideration represents progress, it's a drop in the ocean given what we need to do to end federal prohibition and repair the harms of the drug war. Michael Collins of the Drug Policy Alliance said in an interview earlier this week, adding that the restrictive provisions are, quote, egregious, unnecessary, and representative of an outdated approach to public policy. And by the way, can't we just automatically say, you know what? We don't need any further research. We know right now that before we even dip our toes in the water of further research, that there's already enough research that you could point to and say, that is good research. That's peer-reviewed. That's scientific papers. That's good shit. That's research I can stand by. And say that we should take marijuana out of Schedule 1 now. And I don't mean put it in Schedule 2. I mean take it right out of the CSA. You can put your little compounds in Schedule 2 all you want. But marijuana as a plant is the safest substance that we have on the shelf. All right? There is no safer substance that we use for medicine. Period. There's not. There is not. And you can't make a case for compounds being safer than whole plant. You can't. There's no way you can. So let's take the plant out of the CSA, and then you can do whatever you want with your compounds. Let's make that compromise. We have enough research, all right? Other cannabis activists cheered the bill's passage, but questioned whether more research on marijuana was really needed before Congress moves to change its status under federal law. That's what I've been screaming my whole life. We don't need no research. We've been researching marijuana for thousands of years. All of written history includes marijuana and is written on hemp. While this vote marks a step forward, it must also be acknowledged that despite existing barriers to research, ample studies already exist to contradict cannabis's federal Schedule 1 status as a substance without medical utility, lacking acceptable safety, and possessing a high potential for abuse. NORML Deputy Director Paul Armentano said in a press release, more clinical research is welcome, but unfortunately science has never driven marijuana policy. That's a good point, you know. Y'all want to talk about, oh, we don't have enough research. We don't have the research. You don't care about research. All right? When they handed you a fucking research package, Nixon threw it right in the paper shredder. When that package said that marijuana was probably the safest thing that people put in their body, and the only thing you could do to make it harmful is to prohibit it. And they fucking prohibited it anyway. So this isn't... we don't care about scientific research and studies in America. That's not how we base policy. We base policy on our... is this something that we can make corrupt money out of? That's what the government wants. The government don't care too much about taxes. They're more concerned about, can we corrupt this? And right now, the banksters are the ones corrupting things because they would rather do money... with the money, they'd rather launder money for drug cartels than deal with, you know, a million businesses doing legal marijuana transactions. So, Under the current U.S. policy, a University of Mississippi farm has, for the past 50 years, been the only legal source of marijuana for studies. Researchers have often complained that it is too hard to get approval to use the facility's cannabis products, and that they are often of very low quality. The Drug Enforcement Administration, in closing months of the Obama presidency, moved to create a process for the federal government to issue additional research cultivation licenses. But the Justice Department under Sessions has blocked the DEA from acting on more than 24 applications that have been submitted. Gates's bill, if enacted into law, would force Sessions' hand by requiring the granting of more licenses. It now heads to the House floor. In addition to the requirements and the additional cultivation licenses, the bill clarifies that the Department of Veterans Affairs doctors can discuss the medical marijuana with their patients and can refer them to participate in scientific studies on the drug's effects. Oh, unless they have a felony or misdemeanor possession charge in the past. Then, no, I don't think they're going to be able to. Judiciary Committee vote marks only the second time in history that a congressional panel has approved standalone cannabis reform legislation. Earlier this year, the House Veterans Affairs Committee passed a bill encouraging the VA to conduct research on medical marijuana benefits of marijuana for military veterans. Encouraged. That's a law. So, yeah, just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. It's not exactly where I wanted to see research heading. I want to see us being able to research cannabis in our own way, in free form. Not, hey, we're supposed to take your sample that you get, you give us some weed that we can research. It's a bunch of garbage, and then we're supposed to just extract the THC out and do studies on THC. That's not how we're going to do it. We're going to do it on whole plant medicine. We're going to do it on dabs. We're going to do it on, edibles. We're going to do it on shit that people use, not what you want to invent and make little pills out of. Fuck, corrupt pieces of shit. Ayahuasca research boosts Brazilian psychedelic science. One of the few fields in neurosciences and Brazilian researchers have a competitive edge in is psychedelic science. And I encourage everything going on in the psychedelic field, including descheduling of psychedelics altogether and research being done on them. I'm fully a supporter of MAPS, and yeah, moving along. Mushrooms, you're next. After we're done with weed, mushrooms is definitely on the chopping block. Sensimilitips, 1985. And yeah, before internet forums and YouTube videos, people like me had books to help learn about cultivation. We also had Ask Ed and High Times, as well as Sensimilia tips for all the latest tips and tricks. It's true. It ain't a whole lot different today. And I had a couple of milk crates just full of High Times and Sensimilia tips. So if you had some kind of a plant deficiency or something was going on with your shit and you needed some answers, you couldn't go to a Grass City forum and ask somebody or watch a YouTube video or whatever. You had to fucking dig through your pile of books and magazines and see what the hell was going on. And yes, this is an inevitability, this Coca-Cola thing. And I mean, I'm sure eventually Marlboro's going to want to make some marijuana cigarettes or whatever. This shit will happen. It is going to happen. This is an inevitability. It's also possible to coexist with home growers, medical caregivers, and craft micro businesses. Prohibitionists who are trying to take over the industry want to eliminate all competition, and that is what I fight. So thanks for tuning into the channel. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm the guy that's not really that happy about all the legalization going on, per se. I'm also the guy that's tomatoes on regulation, and ending prohibition seems to me to be the most important thing that we're faced with, rather than all this, let's legalize it. So I put this photo up here, and not too many people liked it. Now, is this extreme? First of all, I'm not encouraging anybody or trying to be an influence like, hey, smoking weed while you're driving in front of a police station, that's a great idea. That's not what this is about. And I guess I'll have to just read this. I guess the point of this photo is to say that it is my firm belief that policing agencies of this country should have absolutely no authority over my medicine, period. Also, driving stoned is a myth. But there is no way I would drive if impaired on any substance, THC included. So as a medical marijuana user that probably smokes about 8 joints a day sometimes, minimum 5, I'll throw a couple dabs in once in a while and eat some edibles at night to go to bed. I don't really get stoned, guys. I don't really I never get impaired. I could smash a whole gram at once, and the most I'm going to be is like, I'm going to see a blackout field maybe, feel a few head rushes, get that giggly feeling for a second. But after about 30 seconds to a minute, man, there really isn't nothing going on. The so-called buzz is back down to just a normal thing, and impairment, that's not what it is. Impairment's where you try to walk and you go all over the place. Marijuana does not mess up your hand-eye coordination or your motor functions or your motor skills. That's just a myth. That's what they want you to believe. They project alcohol's effects onto marijuana when they try to scare people with the effects of marijuana, that people that don't understand it, because pretty much everybody understands what the effects of alcohol is. So it's pretty easy for them to just be like, oh, but here's what marijuana does. It makes you, you drink marijuana and it kills your brain cells and makes you forget everything, and you crash your shit. That's just not the case, guys. We know it's not the case. I mean, I said it earlier. They have 420 events every 420. You don't hear about shitloads of people getting in car wrecks because of it. And we've said this too. The FDA approves Oxycontin for kids as young as 11, and no one says a word. I said a word. You probably heard me too, NorCal Stoner 420. Mention anything about medical marijuana and everyone loses their mind. But call it recreational marijuana and everybody lines up to try to make money off it. It's kind of weird, ain't it? So this isn't cool. What we have here is the Vancouver police at this cannabis replacement event.
It's a personal vendetta. Itemize it. And you guys. Good for you guys taking opiate replacement for people. Yeah. Good job, guys.
Marijuana's still illegal, Sarah.
Good job, guys.
Marijuana.
Good job,
did you
guys.
see what he said? This is in Canada, remember? He just said marijuana's still illegal. And that's been Trudeau's position ever since they started talking about legalizing weed, like, 20 years ago when he fucking got elected or whatever the fuck. Come on, guys. Canada, you're basically showing the world how a total asshole that's a total piece of shit goes about legalizing cannabis. So far, and it ain't even legal yet, guys. We have until October 17th for the big rollout. Meanwhile, you're going to see people getting busted still. And you're going to see even more people getting busted after the 17th of October. Because the legalization in Canada is bullshit.
Yeah, Good job, guys. You guys will be great.
So, from what I understand, they seized the replacement program Cannabis. Well, the Cannabis replacement program products. And we know that medibles is not going to be allowed at all for at least the first year of Canada's legalization. And that's one of the products that people like that are trying to recover from opioids. That's one of the things they need, because not only does it help with the cravings or the withdrawals, but it also helps with the pain, because let's face it, a lot of people take opioids because they have a lot of pain. I guess yeah, it's bad out there, man, when you got cops trying to take medicine away from people that are just trying to recover from opioid addiction. Oh, Kevin Sabat. Oh my God. Now we did have, I missed this thing the other day. Alexis tweeted about this Kevin Sabat thing, and it always touches my heart when she tags me in a tweet, and DC 420 and Mike Hiller, the lawyer, and because I'm always going after these crazy prohibitionists, and I'm always saying, well, why don't they, say anything about the kids that need cannabis as medicine, since they're always so concerned about the kids. And she tweeted, if the federal government's Controlled Substances Act kept dangerous drugs away from normal citizens, and the FDA really doesn't allow dangerous substances to even be tested, then how is the opioid crisis even a thing? And that's a very interesting question. So she nails it again, and every time she, has to confront these people, she always does it in such a concise and quick manner. Like small tweets, very few words, but every time she nails it. And here's another tweet that I just seen from her. Just very heart-touching. 4.5 years ago, I was losing the fight with my seizure monster. Tonight, thanks to medical cannabis, great doctors, and my family's support, I am taking the court in my first real school volleyball game ever. I wish I could explain how I feel. Now, that's awesome. And, yep, that's it's kind of what it is. And if you want to know more about what she's involved with, you can go to Team Alexis, and you can also go to, you can find on that, I believe that's her Facebook page. And I can't go to Facebook, but yeah, that's the Facebook page. And on there, you can find more about the One Love, where you can buy hemp soap that is made on the farm at Alexis's farm. So it's pretty good soap too, I will say. Did you know the U.S. government considers marijuana illegal but collects federal income tax from all marijuana businesses in states that have legalized it? To make matters worse, cannabis businesses are not allowed to claim business expenses, costing them an absolute fortune. And they also get charged the highest rate being paid. Some little stipulation that the drug war, So, it's hard out there. And yeah, I guess we already talked about this here, finding weed at this guy's apartment that the cop shot, and this is the Fox tweet. I don't know if this developed anymore, because this was on September 13th, and now that was like 5 days ago, but I haven't been to Fox 4 News lately to check up if this developed, but what the tweet developed into was a shitstorm of people that were really just sour and salty about them, saying that this was some kind of fucking thing. So here's the tweet developing. Search warrant. Marijuana found in Botham Jean's apartment after deadly shooting. What a frame up. How the fuck did you frame this? Marijuana found in Botham Jean's apartment. First of all, this guy is a fucking murder victim. Why don't you frame it like that? Marijuana found in victim's apartment after, you know, after deadly shooting? No, after he was gunned down by an off-duty police officer. Let's not mince words here. Come on. And then what you have is, you know, a never-ending thread of pissed off people that are fucking smoking Fox because what are they doing? They're sitting here like developing a new narrative around this story that what is supposed to demonize this guy because he fucking had a little bag of weed in his apartment. Unbelievable. Yep. I mean, and what I said was to this tweet here that Alexis put up is that I can tell how you feel just by the look you have on your face. It's so awesome knowing that you have this life and your parents can have the real you. That you can have this life and the parents can have the real you. It should make prohibitionists sad to see that the Caesar monster is still preventing children from living a normal life. You know, the people that are still in places where it's prohibited and they don't have the means or opportunity to move to Colorado like Alexis was fortunately able to do and become a medical marijuana refugee. Alternative Harvest ETF has gone up 10% since I made the video about it a few days ago. Tesla stock is also back on track as predicted. And the thing about the marijuana Alternative Harvest ETF, symbol MJ, the thing about that is, like I said, they have a portfolio basically of a bunch of cannabis related and for the most part stocks. And you know, whenever you hear good news like, oh, Coca-Cola talked to Aurora, well, that's going to push the ETF up. You know, when Aurora stock goes up, boom, there goes ETF. It will increase as well. So if you don't have any understanding of how the stock market works, I will just say real briefly that an ETF is generally a good way to invest on a sector of whatever. Like this is a marijuana ETF, so all the stocks in the ETF are related to marijuana. And you don't have to worry about whether the company that you invest on is going to fail or not, because if it fails, the ETF just gets rid of that out of their portfolio and on to the next thing. I'm not sure how responsive they are to market conditions or how long they'll let a stock like start fizzling before they dump it. So I'm sure I'll do an update about that in about, who knows, 3 months or so. So let's move along. I didn't really get into this right here, but real quick, report that the impact of adult use in, well, let's just check it out. Not much to it. So this is from Paul Armentano again from NORML. And when it comes to marijuana research, you would be hard pressed to find somebody who has their nose to the ground, to the grindstone, in this department, in the research department. Paul Armentano is on it like no one else. All right. So the legalization or regulation of marijuana for adults is associated with a drastic reduction in overall arrest, increased tax revenue, and is not adversely impacting public health or safety, according to a comprehensive report issued by the Drug Policy Alliance. Among the reports highlighted is marijuana arrests are down, youth marijuana use is stable, Marijuana legalization is linked to lower rates of opioid-related harm. Calls to poison control centers and visits to emergency departments for marijuana exposure remain relatively uncommon. Legalization has not made the roads less safe. And furthermore, DUI arrests are down in Colorado and Washington. The number of arrests for people driving under the influence of all drugs, including alcohol, have declined in Colorado and Washington. There is no correlation between marijuana legalization and car crash rates. The crash rates in both states are statistically similar to comparable states without legal marijuana laws. And it's funny because you only hear people that report on the negative numbers when the numbers are negative. And sometimes it's not even like the Rocky Mountain Highway or high intensity trafficking area report that every prohibitionist in the world always cites when they talk about, oh, the sky's falling in Colorado, the car crashes, blah, blah, blah. That report, when they were talking about car crashes increasing, they were monitoring it before fucking legal sales even started. And then they blamed it on medical marijuana. Same thing. So the full DPA report is available online. And I will leave a link to actually, I'm just going to link this article here. This NORML article by Paula Armentano. And because there's several links in here if you wanted to look more into any of this. Marijuana industry is creating jobs. Legalization, marijuana tax revenues are exceeding initial estimates. And back to the jobs thing, 165,000 to 230,000 full and part-time workers across the country are working in the marijuana industry. Now the DPA, that's the Drug Policy Alliance, this is the people that made this report. Their findings are similar to prior reviews of the impact of adult use regulatory schemes on health and safety, such as the 2016 Cato Institute report. There's a link for that. And NORML has similarly compiled fact sheets, link to that, the most relevant peer-reviewed data addressing the impact of legalization on health, safety, and the economy. And there's that, a link to that. And here's the actual study from the Drug Policy Alliance. As you can see, this is not bullshit. This is not just observing from a glance or from one perspective or another. This is a very in-depth, deep analysis that we're talking about here. And, you know, this is for you, fucking Sam, Kevin Sabat, you idiot. You intellectually immoral, unjustifiably slanted towards prohibition moron. You have no ground to stand on anymore. Absolutely none. Your last gasp of dying breath air, you've been talking about big marijuana. But you don't even talk about the actual big marijuana, which is the corporate takeover lurking in the background. You talk about big marijuana as if it's the same people that were doing big tobacco and that they're sitting in a smoky room just trying to think of a new way to, you know, to put a new sin tax on society. Now, you have made several claims about the sky falling in Colorado and Washington when you do your little tour and you go around the country to places that are trying to legalize marijuana and try to scare them. You don't have any fucking ammo, Kevin. You don't have a drop of ammo. You don't have any bullets in your gun. You don't even have a gun. You have a fucking broken plastic spork. And you're at a fucking gunfight. And what this study here is this is a nuclear bomb that just blew your whole fucking argument into smithereens. You have absolutely nothing, and this is gonna be the end of you. This and that research that Jeff Sessions is about to have to go kicking and screaming and do. And why not do the research? How responsible is the country's drug policy apparatus if they're basing policies with no research? That's a fact, man. We're basing marijuana policy on no research and all conjecture invented by idiots like Kevin fucking Sabat and other morons that are highly paid by Big Pharma or have been highly paid by Big Pharma, like Scott Gottlieb. We don't like you guys anymore. We the people are sick of you prohibitionists. You gotta go. Here's the Cato Institute and their study, and I've already went through this, kind of brushed over it in one or two clips in the past, where they take a little bit more of a cautionary approach to the verbiage. Like, for example, this paper assesses recent marijuana legalizations and related policies in Colorado, Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. Our conclusion is that state marijuana legalizations have had minimal effects on marijuana use and related outcomes. We cannot rule out small effects of legalization, and insufficient time has elapsed since the four initial legalizations allow strong inference. On the basis of available data, however, we find little support for the stronger claims made by either opponents or advocates of legalization. The absence of significant adverse consequence is especially striking given the sometimes dire predictions made by legalization opponents. So what they're saying in a nutshell is, yeah, the sky hasn't fallen, and also it hasn't cured cancer either. So, you know, and I mean, nobody's out there saying that marijuana is the cure-all for everything. It's just better medicine, man. It's better medicine than Big Pharma ever had, and they know this. Now we have a situation, as reported by Vice magazine, that cancer patients and other people with debilitating conditions are being forced to choose between medical marijuana and federal public housing assistance. We're talking about Section 8 housing. We're talking about Ben Carson, the guy that's in charge of HUD. We're talking about other entities in the federal government that for some reason they don't ever have time or money to do much, but they always find time and money to go fuck with people about weed. And in this case, I guess they think by micromanaging the people that are on public housing, by piss testing them for weed, they can weed out some people that they don't want. And I don't know, man. I can't think of anything less humane than to throw somebody out of the fucking public assisted housing that they live in because of the medicine that they use. That just sounds like the most ass-backwards, anti-freedom, anti-liberty, you don't live in a country that gives a fuck about its own citizens kind of thing. I retweeted from CanX Med. Janie Maidler is sharing her touching story with us at the Can 10 booth. Her daughter recovered from a bone tumor using medical cannabis. She's single-handedly fought for the state of Delaware to have a pediatric medical marijuana law, which was named Riley's Law. Another person that I will be focusing on in the documentary that I'm putting together about the children that are leading the movement to change marijuana policies. As in this individual here, all the way to the UK and all around the world, we've had to see situation after situation where, whether it be an epileptic seizure patient or cancer patient, leukemia, bone tumor, autism, just you name it, we've had children having to lead the fight to normalize medicine or cannabinoid medicine, medical marijuana as medicine. It's pretty powerful stuff. And here's this really quick from Yindik Bayer, author of Cure for Cancer, Rick Simpson Protocol. So 71% of patients treated with CBD-rich extracts reported improvements, compared to just 36% of patients who received purified CBD products. I can't, I'll never get behind anybody that makes a claim that hemp CBD is medicine, or that's medicinal enough for anything. I don't know what this is, but we'll read it. I have epilepsy, and cannabis with CBD does not help me at all, nor does THC. I'm also allergic to cannabis plant matter. All I can use is pure trichomes or well-separated or purified keef. It seems for me it may be one of the terpenes or other cannabinoids that help. I'm not sure. And that's the nature of natural medicine like cannabis, is it's a concoction of its own. It's several different compounds working in tandem, and just one of those compounds in there might be what works for you, or alternatively, just one compound in there could be the thing that prevents it from working. So you have to iron it out and kind of tune it in, and that tuning in process can be a little difficult for sometimes. But the good news is it can't hurt you. Just saying that I have epilepsy and it don't work, that's one thing. But saying that you're allergic to cannabis plant matter, that's something else. That's something that that's something you definitely have to work around if you're still trying to use cannabinoids. So I sympathize with you. And this whole plant marijuana entourage effect article, by the way, in Marijuana Moment, by Kyle Yeager, another one of my favorite marijuana authors and journalists out there. And this is why, because a lot of people don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about whether or not these claims that people are making with, not synthetic, but we haven't seen the synthetic CBD coming around yet, but the Epidiolex is plant-based CBD. But what we're looking at is that the studies that they've done on this extracted CBD, as opposed to just using the CBD that we have seen being manufactured from whole plant. And it's just not cutting the mustard. But meanwhile, the FDA is telling you, oh no, CBD, that's not what everybody's saying it is. Only we get to say what CBD is, and who gets to use it as medicine, and who gets to make it and make money off it as medicine. So that's all. I just wanted to mention that again to kind of tie it in from earlier. Now here's something I found interesting. DC 420 tweeted this article talking about a dispensary in Canada is charging, or not Canada, I'm sorry, a dispensary in California is charging $93 for an eighth. That's about an eighth of weed. That's about 4 joints. That's about $23 a joint, and the joints are all smaller than 1 gram. That's not how you divert traffic away from, quote, local sales. The artificial inflation on weed depends on a black market existing, but who's driving whose price schemes? Because, see, like, if you started out thinking you're running a licensed marijuana business in California, you got a lot of overhead, you got to pay taxes, you got these regulations, it's making you pay assessment fees and all this shit. Profitability's getting kind of hard to come by based on the numbers that you based it on. Like you were basing it on, well, eighths are like $50, and you base it on that. Now all of a sudden your $50 eighth it's looking like you need it to be about $60. And then you add all that tax and stuff on there. Next thing you know, you're at $93 for a fucking eighth, dude. $23 for four small, or yeah, $23 per joint for semi-small joints. I mean, a gram joint's about a normal size joint. Anything smaller than that starts to look like, hey, this ain't that big of a joint. It's definitely not worth $23 fucking dollars. So anyway, you have a $93 eighth. Now all of a sudden, that guy that has the black market, the local sales guy that just grows a few plants here and there, and he still has like the best weed on the block without having to go to the dispensary and pay $93 an eighth. Now what? Now he's able to charge even more than he used to, where you had your, oh, I'm at the dispensary and I want to make what the black market was charging, which was $50 an eighth. If I make that at my dispensary, I should be doing okay. And then we can still compete with them, with the black market people, because our products are better. And even if we have to charge a little bit more, like $55, $60 because of the taxes, people are still going to come and get them as long as our quality is a little better or whatever. That doesn't work anymore. Now you're charging 93, and the guy that was charging 50 is starting to think maybe I should bump it up to 70. They're still going to come and get it. So you got to be careful with this shit, because what the promise of legalization was that after the black market got dismantled out of the equation and the Mexican drug cartels aren't running the game, the price would go down. We heard all this stuff about how, oh, the market's going to get flooded and the price is going to drop down to like $50 a pound, you know. So no, the price, it's a commodity market. The value of the commodity is based on how good the product is, period. Doesn't matter any other factor. You know, what is somebody willing to pay for it? And I'm guessing not too many people are willing to pay $93 fucking dollars for an eighth, man. Yep, that was my town again. So this time, and I've been keeping kind of a running tab of all the famous washed up rappers and whatnot that have visited my humble little town of Clio, Michigan, with a population of about the same amount of people as what go to this Cannabis Cup. And lo and behold, this time we had the Juggalos come to town. You gotta be kidding. And not just the Juggalos, but we had Nas. Oh no, the Fago. Oh my God. I'm glad I wasn't there. I went to they do 2 Cannabis Cups every year in my town in Michigan. So I go to one of them, get some genetics, check out some rap bands that used to be famous when I was back in the day, you know. And yeah, I guess it was a pretty good time. And just a reminder, guys, Baltimore cops carried toy guns to plant on people they shot. And this was uncovered in a trial. I did a report about this a while back. I actually wrote an article myself. I haven't checked up on that article in a while, but basically I learned myself in that research for that article that, yeah, you know, just an unbelievable level of, you know, like, we're being policed by people that are so dishonest that they will shoot you and then throw a fucking toy gun in your pocket to make it look like they were justified. How to make a marijuana prohibitionist change the subject. Ask them how much money has been spent trying to enforce marijuana prohibition laws. How to make them do it again. Ask them in which ways marijuana laws has harmed lives. And this is the last thing I'm going to look at on this video. Let's go ahead and read that to you since nobody has a narrator anymore. So the United Nations is to review the cannabis ban in November. The United Nations will conduct a critical review of cannabis in November to determine whether it should continue to be banned. Pre-review called cannabis relatively safe, since there have been no recorded deaths attributed to the substance and that it has a wider range of therapeutic benefits than any other substance. The review results could be significant not only because it's a historical first, but it could have a direct effect on the legal status of cannabis in individual countries. Terrible. You guys need to get narrating that crap. Stop putting text-based like videos out. But basically, what I have to say on that is, remember, over the last 2 years, the United Nations has said that CBD was legit and should not be scheduled in the controlled substances scheme. The World Health Organization has said much the same about THC and CBD. Well, not just THC, but just the whole plant. The United Nations said at its meeting of the Commission on Psychotropic Substances that it has, the original commission that banned all the drugs that are banned way back in the 60s. Well, last time it met, last year, they said we should maintain the prohibition on marijuana. So they're kind of all over the place on this. And I think once and for all, once they get a final say here, that might be good. And then to end this all, we have yet another. This was actually one of the first beverage companies to jump in, and it's just been kind of a bandwagon effect since then. So that's all I got for this retweeted episode. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something. I want to learn something. I'll leave you with this FDA meme that I made. Remember, pink slime is food. 11 years old is old enough for OxyContin. Caveman Paleo and Myco ZX from InfoWars. Those supplements are legit. And oh yeah, cannabis has no accepted medical use. The Food and Drug Administration. Have a good one, everyone. And like I said, the links will be down below for the petition to free Muhammad Lukman. Did this have a link? Nope. And also the NORML article, which has several links in it to different research papers about legalization. And that's all I got. I'm about to embark on doing one of those deals where I just do 30 clips in 30 days. Pretty soon I'll get that started because we're going to start moving back towards November. We have elections coming in November. We have legalization on the ballot. We have politicians who are prohibitionists trying to get reelected. We have politicians that are for legalization who are trying to get elected. So we'll try to chime in on some of those stories, and that's about it. Have a good one, everyone.